there's a new book out by Michael Richards. I'm a Seinfeld fan. Michael Richards played Kramer on Seinfeld. And a couple of things. He's promoting the book, as you can imagine. It's called Entrances and Exits, which I think is smart for him because he came in and out of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he revealed that Jason Alexander, who played George on Seinfeld, threatened to leave in season 3 because he wasn't getting enough screen time. There's one episode in particular called The Pen, and he's not in it. I believe Jerry is in Florida. Yeah, he's in Florida, and he gets that pen that writes upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he and Elaine go to Florida to visit his parents. Michael Richards as Kramer and Jason Alexander as George are not in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the book by Michael Richards, Jason Alexander perceived the show in the first 2 seasons as a buddy comedy. He and Jerry were of equal footing. And this episode caused him to realize, oh, wait a minute, Jerry's the star of the show and we're the 3 underlings. But that's the way it was. I mean, don't you think? That's the way it was.
Jerry's name's on the title.
On the show. It's called Seinfeld, you know? So at that point, he got really angry, and he said, I will not be written out of another episode, and he threatened to quit. And Larry David said, well, then quit. But he thought better of it and stayed on the show. And later, he told Larry David, because they fought a lot, apparently, Alexander and Larry David.
Really?
He didn't like his lines sometimes. He didn't like what the character was doing. He didn't like the woman that played his fiancée. He didn't think she was a very good actress. I heard him say that in an interview once, that he didn't play off her well at all. And they basically killed her off. Remember that? Yeah.
Licking
the envelopes.
Yeah, it wasn't complete. I did not feel bad when they killed her off.
No, she wasn't great.
She wasn't and she was never missed.
Not a bit. You know, I was on a different radio show when that show ended, and we got an interview with her when Seinfeld on the last week of the show. You know, when it was finale, they were letting the cast. Some of them were doing interviews. Now we weren't big enough to get any of the main stars.
No,
but we got her, and she was on the phone. She just wasn't all there. I mean, you could tell it wasn't into it, or I mean, she wasn't giving us any answers, and you could tell right there. It's like, boy, I bet she's hard to work with.
Yeah.
So anyhow, he threatened to quit a few times, and then years later said to Larry David, "Thank goodness I didn't quit that show. It's what I'm known for now. It's my whole career. You know, it's everything for Jason Alexander." And he said to Larry David, "It's a good thing I didn't say, or you didn't tell me, take a hike, because my career would have probably been over."
It's interesting that he would feel that way, that he was on equal footing with Jerry when the show started. At least when I started watching it, I don't think I watched it when it was the Seinfeld Chronicles, but when I started watching it, I never even considered George, the character, being on equal footing as Jerry.
No.
Now they were buddies.
Yeah,
but Jerry's the lead character.
Yeah, and Elaine was in a lot too. I mean,
the same as George. I mean, she's the ex-girlfriend of Jerry.
I'll give it to him that that'd be, weird to see Check early, but there are a lot more scenes of he and Jerry just eating at the diner together.
Yeah, that's right.
But normally that's only a setup for Kramer to come bursting in or Elaine to come in.
Dude, other shows like Cheers is an ensemble show, but I think Ted Danson's the star.
It is.
I think you could have gone on without Norm, but you have to have Ted Danson.
Sure.
If he's going to leave it.
And there are some Seinfeld episodes where it circles more around George or Elaine or George and Elaine, and there's always these offshoot topics in there that Seinfeld's not in a ton.
I agree. Andy Griffith's show. I mean, we know the great characters are Barney but Andy Griffith's the star. I mean,
he's the star.
He's the star of the show.
And he's the straight man. He rarely has a funny line.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. He gave, which he was smart, he gave the funny lines.
And look what happened.
To Don Knotts, and it went perfectly. The other thing that Michael Richards revealed was that he battled prostate cancer 6 years ago and was told, unless you remove the entire prostate, you're going to die within 6 to 8 months. So he did. He got rid of his entire prostate.
How old is he?
74.
Yeah.
10 years older than Jerry and the others.
He is older, yeah.
Yeah, he was the older
person. I read a lot about this book, and it really goes into detail, because remember, right afterwards, he had the comedy club situation.
Well, the racist comments.
Yes.
And Jerry called him out on that on like Letterman or something.
Exactly.
This is not funny. And he made all those comments about somebody in the audience.
It was a heckler.
He was getting heckled by a guy.
And he used the N-word like 10 times.
Yes,
he did.
And it was all on camera. And he disappeared. This is really his first time out, and it's been close to 20 years. And he goes into a lot of detail on that about himself. He's never been happy with himself. Like, he doesn't think he did well on Seinfeld.
Oh, my God.
He thinks that, he said, I really felt like I could have done that character better. And he said, when that happened at that comedy club, that was a lot more about me and my insecurities than it was.
Yeah.
Because he said, he told me something that I had been thinking my whole life. Because the guy yelled, "You're not funny." And he said that was the thing. My whole life I felt, and he said, so he was telling me in that moment what I knew.
You don't know this. Last week, we were in Dave saw it. We were in a meeting, and, we have our boss upstairs, and he goes, did you get that hate mail, that email that was sent out? And I said, no. And he said, there is a guy. Oh, I told you this. He called you FT.
Yeah.
F-tard. And the Littlest Patriot said, why are you saying this? Why are you telling him this? Because, of course, it's burned in my mind ever
now
since.
It is, yeah.
Now I just see myself as F-tard. That's basically who I am and what I am. It got to Michael Richards. He self-doubt. He had so much self-doubt.
And he said in that moment, what he was telling me was true, because I had felt that way my entire career, basically.
Yes.
And he said, so that's where I just snapped. And then he said, I disappeared. And, he only really came out, the first public he'd been in years was to the Unfrosted premiere that Jerry Seinfeld had invited him to that.
Right. And, well, he was in, when Larry David's show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, did that season where the Seinfeld cast was on there. He was in that.
Yeah.
And they made fun of it, actually. They had a little scene where he was like, it was one time, that kind of thing, where he had made those comments. But you're saying about him feeling like he could have done that character better. I saw that behind the scenes on Friends, and Lisa Kudrow, after like 3 seasons, went to Matt LeBlanc and said, I don't know how to play this character. I don't know what I'm doing with this character. And he goes, what are you talking about? It's been 3 seasons. You've got it. We're
This is it.
He's like, we're a success. We're the #1 show. And she goes, I'm struggling with this character. And both Matthew Perry and Matt LeBlanc said, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean,
be flighty.
Yeah, you've got it. I mean, she was a different kind of flighty than other flighties, I think. She did it better or different than others,
Yeah, because she had moments of being lucid.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a different kind of ditzy. In fact, the casting director said everybody who auditioned for that role, for the Lisa Kudrow role in Friends, came in and played it the same way. Very bubblehead, ditzy. Right. And she just had a different quality about it, and they liked that. That's what they went with. The other thing from this book is that Julia Louis-Dreyfus has said, and she was doing some publicity for her own book coming soon, and she says that her most interesting moment being recognized as a celebrity was when she was giving birth to her second child. Seinfeld had been on for a few years, and they put the monitor around her stomach, and she was in the bathroom naked, and she had the thing around her stomach, and she was getting ready to give birth. She was, 50 pounds overweight because of the pregnancy, and her water broke, and a nurse came in, and she goes, my water broke, and she was standing there completely naked, and the nurse said, oh my God, you're Elaine.
Not now.
She was like, I had no idea.
Can I have an autograph? Just sign your chart.
Is that like, how embarrassing, how awkward is that? And she said, oh, wow.
Oh, look.
That's something. Yeah. Oh, I had no idea. This is so great.
We'll say one thing about Michael Richards, because I saw this, it might have been a documentary, that he was kind of hard to work with. On Seinfeld, that he didn't like it when people would flub their lines or mess up a line, and then he would sit there like he's wasting his time, and he'd get upset more than the others. The others would kind of laugh it off. And
really?
He would rarely laugh, and he would rarely make mistakes.
I heard that too, and the reason was he had to do so much physical comedy that it was painful. He had to get it just right.
Yeah, and he's falling on the floor every episode.
And he practiced and practiced and practiced that. And so when others mess it up, it's like, well, I got to fall on the floor.
Right.
Again,
and sometimes when they did like the clip show, they'd show like people messing up and laughing. He never does.
He's not the one. Yeah.
It's like always, if George messes up, Jerry and George will crack
each other up.
But you can tell he's just kind of standing there waiting for the scene to go on.
Yes, he wants to get it back started.
He
again.
never, and that's the thing. I don't think he ever thought of Kramer as a funny person or funny. I think he really just thought this is my role.
I'm doing this.
I'm doing this. I am
job.
acting. Yeah.
Very interesting how they go about that. There's another story today. Kevin Costner's doing a lot of, we just heard yesterday, we were talking Kevin Costner during Garbage Time, and Kristen was saying he's got this new movie that at the Cannes Film Festival got an 11-minute standing ovation. Can you imagine?
No.
An 11-minute standing ovation. The movie is a Western. And he, apparently he was so moved, he almost cried. And he said, it's my whole life's work. It's like 30 years. It's called Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. And everyone just says it's incredible piece of filmmaking.
Do we know, is there like a synopsis of it? What
I don't know. I never heard of it until 2 days ago.
I mean, he's turned into a cowboy here.
Yeah, that's right. And he's promoting, he's on Jimmy Kimmel and stuff talking about it. And he was asked about Field of Dreams. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were extras in Field of Dreams. They lived in Boston, so they went to that scene at Fenway Park.
Oh, yeah.
So they're part of the crowd at Fenway Park. And Kevin Costner talked to them when they were filming.
Huh.
And both of them said they were just, of course, overwhelmed. And Affleck said he had a poster of The Untouchables on his wall, Biggie's favorite Costner movie.
Love it.
And they got to talk to him, and both said later he was incredibly generous with his time and really nice, which I've heard he's a little prickly, Kevin Costner.
I think everybody has their prickly moments.
Yeah, probably
It's
so.
just that some have more than others.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, he was great to them, and they were just extras in that movie. And they were saying how they're writing a movie. They were writing Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
And they were saying, they're starting to write, and they're trying to get
it wasn't long after that.
Yeah. And so Kevin Costner said, well, if you ever need anything, hit me up, that kind of stuff. And he was really good to them, apparently. And he remembers meeting them. And
oh, really?
And later, when they became stars, apparently Costner said, oh, those are those guys from Fenway Park.
I noticed they haven't worked together since.
No.
You ready for this? You know what I heard? I heard Costner put $38 million of his own money into this movie.
Into that movie?
Yeah.
He is loaded, but he's paying.
That's crazy.
And he's paying his ex-wife half his money.
Yeah.
He better make a movie.
Don't ever get divorced.
Well, now wait a minute.
Listen,
don't knock it till you try it.
My 401k man told me, he was in here 10 years ago. You know our 401k, Chip and Charlie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those guys.
You know Chip and Charlie?
Do I?
You know
Notice they gave you this advice and retired.
Yeah, they did.
And one of them got divorced.
He did. I don't remember if it was Chip or Charlie.
It don't matter.
Well, one was standing over my shoulder looking at the computer showing what I had in my 401k. And he said, are you going to get divorced? And I said, no, I'm happily married. And he said, don't. Because you see that number? Going to get a lot smaller.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to pay her half
Ask
of it.
Phil Collins. Is he one of your clients? No. But have you ever seen him? Ask Paul McCartney. Is he one of your clients? No.
He whispered in my ear, don't ever get divorced.
Grim and buried.
Well, what's going to happen with the market, Chip and Charlie?
Oh, we don't know.
know.
We don't know what's going to happen with the market. We know stay married. That's what he said today.
Just sign here. I gotta go.